Society has changed. Politics and the Overton window have shifted undeniably to the right, especially on the internet, which has become the #1 place that, especially Gen Z, but even millennials and older generations gather to have any kind of conversation or even to get their information and news. And that can be quite worrying when you realize that the bubbles and the circles of nonstop feedback loops of the same stuff you already agree with or believe has become so prevalent online, especially with engagement-based algorithms that, prioritize rage bait and clickbait. This has been a problem for a long time, but we're kind of reaching a fever pitch where even normal people are having a hard time just living their lives without getting inundated with right-wing propaganda or, and this might surprise you, becoming the source or target of it. This is a wild one. How many of you guys are familiar with a fantastic OG YouTube creator named Jacksfilms? You might know him as the guy who epically owned Sniper Wolf when he exposed the really low effort React content. He made Yai, which is a really great series where he basically reviews funny comments, makes funny skits and responses and jokes. It's basically like stand-up, but edited and made into a higher production quality, right? Really good stuff. We love Jacksfilms, right? We love him. But did you guys know that he's getting canceled by the right? Jacksfilms just recently got turned into a right-wing, anti-left meme. You know how those guys from the Try Guys, I think they were, did that thing where they pointed and had their mouths open, and it was the inception of the soy face? That's where it comes from, by the way. The pointing and looking towards the camera to the thing behind you comes from the Try Guys, who were the original soy boys. Like, their videos were the original thing that right-wing chud grifters in 2016 would make videos about, saying, this is a soy boy. So with that in mind, you already know what we're looking at here. This is very much a right-wing culture war thing, but he has been targeted by them, and he has been made into sort of a Wojak, a meme template, to represent the bug left, as they call us. There is a sect of far-right people on Twitter who have used this platform's favor for right-wing propaganda to start openly calling for the mass killing of progressives. And their favorite way to do this is a little tongue-in-cheek, and that's by calling all progressives bugs. And so, he has been called the Bug Man, the face of the bug white male lefty. And all for one single misunderstanding. I wouldn't even call it a misunderstanding. In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk getting shot, the white nationalists, the raw egg nationalists, if you will, of Twitter, started looking for anybody who dared to be happy after Charlie Kirk was killed. And they found a tweet from Jacksfilms, unrelated to anything having to do with politics, where he just posts a photo of himself. And that photo has resulted in him getting a lot of hate from the right, and becoming the right's new straw man sort of caricature of the left. Despite him not really being a political person, maybe he's left-wing, maybe he's right, but their main contention is he must be left-wing, and he must be in favor of the fall of white civilization, because in his post, he's eating fajitas. Yep. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, guys. That's the situation. If I've interested you with this video and you end up liking it, consider leaving a like and a hype and a comment, and maybe subscribe if you want to see more from me. It really does help a lot. I mean it. Thank you to everybody who supports the video. It means a lot. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into this, because I've got a lot to say about this situation. Funnily enough, another creator within the sort of left-tube sphere, or what's left of it, named Jack Saint, made a video about this, and I've not seen much of it yet, besides the opening, I suppose. And I actually used to know Jack Saint. We had a falling out, like, years and years and years and years and years ago. Like, I was like 19 or 20 at the time, I want to say, over something stupid and nonsense, but we buried the hatchet many years ago, and I think we're on pretty good terms now, so that's pretty pog. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Jack Saint, there are no more normal guys. This is in fact about basically the trend that has targeted our boy Jacksfilms, and why there is this weird intolerance towards normal guys these days. If you're not a raw egg nationalist, then you're, I guess, in favor of the fall of Western civilization. Alright, let's watch this video. From what I've seen, it's quite good. Link to the original will be down below in the description too, by the way. Make sure you click it and drop some support on it as well.
This video was sponsored by War Thunder.
We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and
I've genuinely not seen much more of an unhinged speech that could perfectly fit the definition of modern day Hitler speech than this one at Charlie Kirk's funeral. They were leaning so hard into trying to martyr him, and their entire thing was like, the left will pay for this. Every left-wing person, every progressive will pay for the death of Charlie Kirk. I like this edit.
You just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted, and the Beatitudes tell it, I think, the most crisply. Everything is sort of the opposite of what you think it's going to be.
Whatever happens next in America, I hope it's in this direction, because God is here, and you can feel it.
On October 7th, 2025...
Ironic, because I feel the distinct lack of that. Also, can we all just all agree? We all need to just agree right now, those fajitas look fucking amazing. They do be sizzling, though. Holy fuck. If you've never had a cast iron skillet, sizzling hot, with fajita meat and a bunch of vegetables mixed in, brought out to you, to your table, and that steam is never wafted into your face, you have not lived. You have not seen the gates of heaven. Go to a Mexican restaurant and order the fajitas on the cast iron skillet, hot and ready. It is so good. IDK, what's better, chicken or steak? My favorite Mexican restaurant of all time is called Coyote Rojo. There's a few of them around Florida. You might have been to them before if you had been around that area. And they make bomb fajitas. They are really good. And I just get the chicken and steak. I get the chicken and steak mix because I genuinely can't pick which I prefer more. The texture of the chicken is better, but the steak tastes better. But they're so, like, balanced out in which I like. I just want to have both. I can't go with one that I prefer. I have to have both the chicken and the steak fajitas. Anyway, bit of a stun lock, but my mouth is literally watering from how absolutely delicious that sounds right now. Can we just talk about food for the rest of the segment? I'm joking.
YouTuber Jacksfilms posted an image of himself on social media alongside the caption, "When the fajitas come out sizzling." This became quite controversial.
So
One example...
Oh my god, man.
Fajitas come out sizzling. This became...
Obviously, oh my god, look at... They literally wojacked him, bro. They're of course depicting the food as literal shit on a plate. A big part of this is the idea that any kind of... Okay, these people will look at the most delicious thing you've ever seen, but because a brown person made it, they'll draw a meme of it as literal shit on a plate. And that is what you're seeing right now. These people are so full of hate. They are so bitter and so miserable. But what I find so funny about it, and like incels do this online, right-wingers of all kinds do this online, we all know what kind of lives they lead. We know what kind of life produces the kind of person they are, and we know what kind of life the person they are creates for themselves. And they really try to trick us with their public persona online being well-adjusted and happy. It's like, no, these people are fucking miserable. I guarantee you half the people who have tweeted in this collage are a day away from necking themselves, okay? They're not happy people. As much as you guys might be doomering lately, I need you guys to understand, the people who voted Trump into power are not happy. Even right now, as Trump is at his all-time most powerful, they're not even happy. They're more miserable than ever, if anything. I promise you that's the case. I know it's the case. I was a conservative once, and I was a conservative during times a lot like this, and this is when I started to get bitter, and being a conservative, being a chud, stopped being fun. And this is a lot like what that looks like.
Quite controversial. In one example, a response by the account Raw Egg Nationalist reads, "It's incredible that these people exist, but they really do. These are the people who justify the demographic replacement of Western countries in terms of the variety of street food and how many different kinds of fried meat and vegetables in a flatbread they can buy.
So, for a long time, progressives have pointed out, well, I mean, diversity is good. Hell, have you never gone to an ethnic restaurant? You know, Mexican restaurant, Japanese restaurant, like some of the best food you can get in America, right? They've decided to basically make that into a derisive meme. So for instance, I don't know how many of you guys would know this one. Remember when like atheism started to get really big and people would start calling God Sky Daddy as a joke to basically make conservatives and Christians offended, and it worked for a time. But then conservatives started using Sky Daddy ironically as like a way to deride the left in a sense, and people stopped using it because the right took the meaning away from that derision. In a very similar way, the right has done that with the idea of pointing out diversity has brought us an immense culinary diversity of our diet, that we get like a lot of really good food, a lot of great options, and you can go so long without eating the same thing twice in America because of that diversity. And that is just something we take for granted. But they can't actually respond to that, so instead they basically just say it back to you sarcastically in a dumb voice, and then they make a Wojak of the food being shit. Literally.
Take it back. This post received over 17,000 likes and spawned hundreds more expressing basically the same sentiment, as well as making memes depicting Jacksfilms as the soy Wojak. The urban liberal white cockroach feeds on the multicultural dumpster because he disavowed any culture of his own. Whaleful bottom feeders. Just
Whalefall bottom feeders, dude. Like, this is a person who is absolutely pissed with his, like, Snake Plissken PFP. This is probably a boomer, too. That or, like, a 15-year-old who's just started watching movies from before their time and LARPs about how those movies are their whole personality to be original and unique. Liberal white cockroach. They really do love the bug comparisons. The Nazis did, too. You know? They're just staying consistent. They're just being consistent. The Nazis use this rhetoric as well. I mean, the Nazis. These guys are Nazis too, but I mean, like, the Nazis. The guys.
Cockroach feeds on the multicultural dumpster because he disavowed any culture of his own. Whaleful bottom feeders. Just so you understand, this is the kind of thing you should be embarrassed about. It's an instant soy jack. Something you show friends to display a pathetic gay nerd weakling nobody ever wants to be. He became a meme. And
what I love about this, by the way, is Jacksfilms has been immensely popular and beloved for over a decade online. Like, this is a guy whose time as a massive figure online goes back before any of these people had botted their Twitter accounts to 1 million followers. Way before they even had Twitter accounts. Way before they even knew about social media and that you could make money off of it. And they started doing it for that reason. This is a guy who is, like, locked in, right? Jacksfilms is like a established creator. People love this guy. Seeing them freak out at him as if he's just some, like, random lefty guy. I don't know. It's just so bizarre. Because, like, I've watched him for over a decade, and seeing the right go crazy at him, and he's not even a political guy. It's wild. And he's really popular. More popular than most of the people calling him out and trying to make fun of him, too. They come off as so unhinged when you actually know who this guy is and how extra they're being.
A caricature of a feminized, rootless, cosmopolitan, treat-loving, sad product of modernity. Everything wrong with a world that has sacrificed traditional values and masculinity at the altar of multiculturalism. All of this because in one humble Barney's Beanery restaurant, the fajitas came out sizzling.
They do be sizzling,
I was going to film more while I was out with the baby, but he started crying and I just realized it was very impractical. We used to hear a lot about the idea of cultural appropriation. The idea specifically of a group of left-wing zealots lashing out at anyone who wanted to enjoy products of cultures they weren't born into, out of a concern they were doing it in a way that was exploitative or disrespectful.
This is culinary appropriation.
I wonder what the next term for these people... I guess it's woke, huh? I don't know. I guess woke scold was never really a thing. It was just woke that popped off, I suppose. So, like, first it was SJW... Then it was woke. What will be the name of the next era of progressive populism? That's my question. Because last time around, it was the, it was like, these people don't want you to be able to eat food that's not from your culture because it's culinary cultural appropriation or whatever. Like, that's the clip we're about to see played here. That was the idea of the left's crazy, out there, unbelievable, ridiculous discourse that we'd have. But I wonder what it's going to be in the future. I can't help but wonder that openly.
Culinary appropriation.
Yes, you have culinary privilege.
Culinary privilege? Culinary privilege.
Now, in
Culinary
2025,
privilege.
we have this. I've never had a curry or a kebab and don't intend to. British food is the best. English breakfast, Sunday roast fish and chips, pies, pasties, scones. I said what I said and I stand by it. You snowflakes are what's wrong with this country. Political correctness gone mad. Lately I've been getting...
Okay, like, how much of Twitter at this point do we think is bots? A lot of the engagement these posts are getting is definitely bots. Many of them are probably real people, but I feel like so many of them could totally be bot accounts. Like, I feel like there could be people behind them, but I totally think there's somebody just writing a list of prompts or writing up an AI that just keeps up with what's being talked about and makes a relevant tweet about it. We already know that more than half of the content made online every day is AI generated with no input, well, no part of a human made in its creation, right? So, I don't know. It seems plausible. Dead internet is real.
Getting the increasing feeling that the world might be getting more intolerant. And I thought this story was probably the most fun, light way to introduce this topic in a video. I have some less fun, light things to say, but first a word from our sponsor. Do you like war? War Thunder is the most comprehensive...
Okay, we're not watching the War Thunder sponsor. No! He doesn't make any money off of us watching the sponsorship, by the way.
For the pinned comment. Thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video, and thank you. Maybe this is a silly thing to say, but personally, I'd never heard of the raw egg nationalist.
Unfortunately,
it turns out he's a popular Nazi influencer who explicitly blames the fall of Western values on the integration of non-white communities.
I don't think that it's just about ideas. I think it's about demographics and ethnicity, and I think it's about the fact that America is fundamentally an Anglo nation. And
an Anglo-ethno state.
And I've written about this.
It's followed by the current vice president on Twitter and has been referred to by the official US government account as a patriot. So that's interesting. He also thinks Pepsi has aborted fetuses in it.
Bro has no chill.
A weirdly large number of people have really tried to break down the raw egg nationalist ideology in highly intellectual terms.
Raw egg nationalist is, in a lot of ways, this current era's Andrew Tate. You could really think of it that way, and it wouldn't be too far off, to tell you the truth. He's kind of this new age of over-the-top, literally caricature of a right-wing alpha male, quote-unquote. That just gets unbelievably popular for being a joke, a meme, right? And he's been making all the rounds on all the big podcasts and right-wing shows and whatnot. So yeah, this raw egg nationalist guy, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the next Andrew Tate. I would not be surprised.
Which seems interesting, but I'm much too busy playing Cookie Clicker. So my version is to say, you can really get away with chatting a lot of shit if at the end you say something about getting your country back.
Own nothing, live in the pod, eat the soy. The best response to this is a strong politics of nationalism. The nation is only as strong as the individuals who make it up.
Guys, if you were around for it, I don't know how unk this is to say, but if you were around in 2016 and 2017, and you watched any videos debunking right-wing content, like maybe you watched Sean's videos or you watched the videos themselves, this feels like it was ripped straight out of 2016. It really does, dude.
The best response to this is a strong politics of nationalism.
The
nation
filter.
is only as strong as the individuals who make it up, and that's where raw eggs come in. I'm just channeling the wisdom of the ancients, really. I'm a vessel.
In between having a complete mental breakdown at sizzling fajitas and the concept of an edible fake egg, Charles
this right here is what the right is depicting as shit and says is garbage. They call it dumpster food or whatever because it's made by brown people. I don't know if you've ever had fajitas before. If you smell these, your mouth starts watering uncontrollably. It's peppers and onions and chicken or beef, shredded and fried in a really umami seasoning, like a really kicky seasoning. It literally just smells like really like aromatics and meat, like steaming up into your face. Like this isn't even like, I'm gonna be real. As far as like obscure foreign food goes, or like exotic foreign food goes, fajitas is not very far in that direction, okay? You're literally cutting up peppers and onions and meat and frying it with some seasoning, okay? It's so basic, okay? It's so basic. And they're not even crazy vegetables. It's an onion and some peppers. Bell peppers. The ones that aren't spicy. Like, the fact that they're freaking out over fajitas, man. I will die defending fajitas. I would literally give my life defending fajitas right now. I've eaten, I'm not joking, thousands of pounds of fajitas in my life. I'm not joking. I've eaten a lot of fajita meat. A lot of peppers.
Having a complete mental breakdown at sizzling fajitas and the concept of an edible fake egg. Charles Cornishdale has been promoted by Fox News pundit Tucker Carlson, starring in an hour-long documentary advertising his views.
Here's his message.
The enemy today is what I like to call soy globalism. Increasingly large numbers of men are dropping out and ceasing to be men and ceasing to do the necessary.
Oh my god, I just realized, I love this.
Increasingly large.
Who knows this video? It's hilarious that he's using this video, but who knows this video? This video is from 2006, bro. We're pulling a clip from 2006. I thought it was wild when they pulled 10-year-old clips and screenshots of, like, an SJW screaming to make their point. But going back 20 years is crazy. Plus, this was, I believe, completely staged. This video is the kid gets his WoW account deleted. Like, I think it's like a sister or a mom deletes his WoW account and all of his progress, and he has a meltdown, and he nearly he like fake shoves for a second, like he's gonna shove the like TV remote up his ass because he's so angry. It's so clearly overacted and scripted. It's not real. There's no reason for the camera to have been on. That makes sense. It's very clearly fake, but we're pulling a 20-year-old, a viral, famously faked video to make this point. That's the crazy thing, is when this stuff is meant to appeal to teenagers, you gotta remember, these teenagers weren't alive when this video went viral, dude. If you're 16, you weren't fucking alive when this went viral. If you're 18, you weren't alive when this went viral. You have to be well into your 20s to remember this video and to have been around when this was a thing. And that is the clever thing about the internet getting so old now. The right can pull some old shit, deep cut shit, and use it for their propaganda, even though if you go back 10, 20 years ago, everybody's gonna know. Dude, I can't wait for when, like, McJuggernuggets videos, like the Psycho Kid, like, Psycho Dad destroys Psycho Kid's Xbox games or whatever videos start getting posted as if they're real by right-wingers claiming this is what the leftist gamer is like, or some shit like that. That is the kind of stuff they would be doing, I swear to God.
Numbers of men are dropping out and ceasing to be men and ceasing to do the necessary things that men must do. Those kinds of societies obviously become weak and ripe for dissolution. I've tried at various times to sleep on the floor, but it's a bit too much for me.
And it's frequently boosted on Twitter by its current owner, which, you know, some might observe that the right spent decades...
He's tried to sleep on the floor, but it's too much for him. I have slept on the floor out of choice so many times in my life, where it's like, okay, we only have so many available sleeping arrangements. Who takes the floor? I'm like, I'll take the floor. I don't mind. Like, I can handle the floor. I like a nice stiff mattress, too. So, like, the fact that I am totally fine sleeping on the floor, but this, like, white alpha male, testosterone-loving, like, raw egg nationalist guys, like, sleeping on the floor has just been too tough for me. It's like, bro, I must just be built different, because that shit is nothing to me, man. Like, I could sleep on the floor right now.
Accusing everyone that disagreed with them of being funded by billionaire George Soros, and now literally all of them are being openly bankrolled by a man with $470 billion more dollars. George, I have a family to support, so I don't particularly have some big thesis about the raw egg nationalist. By all accounts, he seems fairly privileged and educated. He knows about the French Pyrenees.
The French Pyrenees.
I don't know shit about the Pyrenees, and I don't even think it's real. He posts bait, which is to say, he is deliberately dumb and ridiculous because that makes it easier to attract specifically a dumb...
I'm pretty sure French Pyrenees is a dog, right? I know Pyrenees. Wait. It's gotta be a dog, right? Oh, no, it's a mountain range in Europe. Huh. Why did I think it was a dog? Is there a dog called that? Great Pyrenees. Ah, that's why. Wait, that makes sense because they're... Oh, wait! Holy shit, my brain's making a connection. The Great Pyrenees are mountains, and the Pyrenees, the French Pyrenees, are mountains, and the Great Pyrenees is probably from there, but it's a mountain dog. It's one of those big-ass mountain dogs. It's a white one. So it's literally a Pyrenees mountain dog. A Great Pyrenees mountain dog. Ah, it makes sense. That's why. Okay. Alright, okay. So I was kind of right, but also wrong.
Dumb, ridiculous audience. Either people who enjoy it ironically because they like the idea of having an in-joke, or who enjoy it sincerely because they actually believe the femboy globalists are trying to stop us drinking raw milk so we can't become the Ubermensch. And they want to feel normal. This really is the crux of the issue, because I don't really know what a normal person is anymore. Clearly, I meant to look at Jacksfilms here and see a freak, girlishly chowing on his bug slop because he himself is a bug.
Something resembling slightly more a termite or an ant than the free man of the steppe or the forest.
And clearly there's a...
The free man of the steppe or the forest. They mean Europe, by the way, when they say that. If you ever see like a white nationalist or a sussy guy like that say, yes, I'm just descendant of the men of the steppe or men of the forest, they mean England. Or not England, Europe. They mean like the European steppes and forest cavemen that developed white skin, blue eyes, that kind of thing. So they're just being racist. They're being kind of tongue-in-cheek about it. But notice how much they have been pushing on this claim that the left are bugs. They're really leaning into this like bug comparison. And they're trying to say it as if it's just a visual comparison. Like, let's find skinny guys and call them bugs if they're on the left. But let's be real, it's not just a point of visual comparison they're making. Fascists have done this in the past, where they compare their targets to bugs that need to be exterminated. And a lot of these people do not shy away from saying that second part either.
Concerted effort being made by the wealthiest and most powerful people on the planet to make people like the raw egg nationalist seem like the normal ones in this dynamic. And I find it hard to see that.
I'm a faithful raw egg slonker. Thank you to the raw egg nationalist for preaching that gospel to all of us out there.
I'm instead reminded of a bit from the recent movie One Battle After Another, which I won't spoil here. But basically, there are white nationalists, much like the raw egg nationalist in the film. And specifically, a lot of time is spent by these nationalists obsessing over who can be trusted to be a part of their group. At one point, there's even discussion about one of their loyal trackers who still hasn't ever been properly invited in because of his mixed race heritage. In their mind, this itself means he can never truly be trusted with their cause.
This is very real, by the way. The right is not a very trusting group of people, and they will fuck each other over in a heartbeat for their own independent, individual, well-being. They will absolutely throw each other under the bus. It's already starting to happen. The Daily Wire is collapsing in real time. It's happening. Like, Daily Wire's cooked. And they're not the only right-wing pundits who are experiencing a little bit of a shaky times, you know? Even Candace Owens is starting to call out the Trump administration and alienate herself from a lot of conservative pundits. There's starting to be some real division, some real fracturing. I can definitely see there being some crazy drama that blows up and ends up really hurting the current establishment of right-wing pundits that we see right now. Because they're really mistrusting people, and they have every right to be, because they know they're not trustworthy. They know other people like them aren't trustworthy, so when they're around people like them, they don't let their guard down. It makes sense.
Is at least the suspicion that he has dual loyalties. I feel like on a basic level, this is what it boils down to. People with a severe pathological fear and revulsion about trusting others at the loss of their own power, manifesting in a desire to form increasingly bizarre and esoteric clubs to ensure everyone around you is effectively you. Until we reach the point where membership of the club includes a 2-minute hate for enjoying a kebab or a fajita in an unmanly way. Or woke sourdough.
Back to a nice slice of bread. Normal, fluffy bread, not woke sourdough.
Specifically in the case of white supremacists, it really isn't about woke whiteness. Sourdough. Whiteness itself was a nebulous amalgamation of dozens of cultures loosely packed together to make it easier to categorize slaves. Fundamentally, it's always been about having the club.
Like, British white nationalists attacking any other culture's food is crazy, too. Like, they know their history. They're such full of bullshit. So much of ancient England's economy, I say ancient, so much of England's economy in the past has been centered around colonizing other countries for their spices because we like how their food is. We like how their food is, and we want to eat like that. But man, British people calling the full English breakfast superior to a sizzling hot plate of fajitas, calling fajitas shit just to try and, like, make people of a different race feel bad is so pathetic. It's so hilarious, too. Don't get me wrong, the full English doesn't actually look that bad. I joke about it. It doesn't actually look that bad. There are some parts I'd probably pick around, for sure. The blood sausage, for one. But I would fuck up those mushrooms. I'd destroy the beans. I'd demolish the toast. Most of it would be gone. The sausages that aren't the blood sausage, I'd eat those up. I definitely like the full English breakfast. It's pretty good. It's a Hobbit breakfast. I don't mind it, okay? I like the tomato as well. The tomato being added on as a bonus is pretty nice. What I don't like is the idea that is anywhere near the same ballpark as Mexican or Japanese food. Of all the other different cultures' foods I've tasted in my time, which isn't really that many, Japanese and Mexican food is my favorite. I might like it more than most American, quote-unquote, food. Like, I will rip up... I'm just a meat guy, I'm gonna be honest. I like meat and vegetables and a carb on the side, or mixed in. That's my favorite food. If it's chicken or steak mixed together with vegetables and a carb, I'm so down, dude. I'm so down. Hibachi steak, hibachi chicken with rice and whatnot, I am so into that. I have eaten so much of that, and chicken and steak fajitas from Mexican restaurants are so good. The fact that these people think of that as garbage, maybe not the Japanese food. The Japanese tend to get a pass from the white nationalists, but outside of that, it's insane. What are your thoughts on shawarma? I've had it once when it was, like, you know, cut off of the, the spit and made into basically like a gyro, more or less, like sort of like a taco of sorts in a flatbread. It was pretty good. I probably would have just preferred a pile of the meat. I'm gonna be honest. I just like eating big piles of meat. I am thinking about getting a dehydrator, just so I can start dehydrating large amounts of beef and chicken after marinating it, and I can have a big gallon-sized Ziploc bag of jerky made at home that I can just munch on whenever I get a little peckish. Because I just like eating meat, dude. I'm a carnivore. I am. It's ironic because I'm making fun of these, like, white raw egg nationalist folks who make a lifestyle out of only eating protein or whatever. But, like, genuinely, my palate, when I smell meat cooking, I go fucking feral, bro. I love meat, and I like it pretty darn rare, too. It's ironic that a lot of the culinary preferences of these chuds I just like because I prefer the taste. Hell, my eggs, you want to know how I like my eggs? Not raw, but pretty darn close. I like them over easy. I like it when you can pop the yolk and it starts running out. I like to dip my my toast in there. I cut my toast into triangles, and I stab the over easy egg with my toast, and I dip it, eat it, dip it, eat it, dip it, eat it. Or, if I'm feeling lazy, I just take the over easy eggs and I carefully transplant them onto the whole piece of toast, get another piece of toast, and make a sandwich. And I'll usually throw on some bacon, maybe some hash browns onto that too. And then I'll put the top piece of toast on and eat a big-ass sandwich. Bacon, over easy egg, toast, and hash brown sandwich. It goes crazy. What a stun lock, by the way. Let's continue.
And I've always felt that this obsession with the club is very sad.
Get off the fence, you mean? Yeah. Big side.
I recently rewatched a Louis Theroux documentary on him meeting families within the far-right white Aryan resistance. And more than anything, it just seemed like they lived an extremely depressing, fragile existence. The kind of existence where you have to memory hole your leader consorting with Mexicans because it so obviously contradicts your values, and completely flip out at the concept that you might be talking to a Jewish person.
I thought it was time to leave.
But I think what struck me even more than that is just how nice it felt to see people like this on the complete fringes of society. It was kind of nostalgic to think of a time when someone saying things like, "We need to fight against the great replacement of the white Christian majority," was just sort of a weird social reject who crumbled into a ball on contact with the real world. Obviously,
they will be again. There's been times where they have massive stints of social power, and times where they are the laughingstock of society. They're on their way to being the latter again.
People like this have always existed, and in any kind of free society, they will exist to some extent. The difference is that I used to feel like those extreme views were increasingly niche, that they were always veiled with the understanding that an average, everyday person is becoming unreceptive to it. I used to hear people say all the time that racism and sexism and homophobia were over now, and if anything, it was the people who kept pointing it out that were creating more problems. The Nazi Party was defeated like 1,000 years ago, and my belief that any of this could be comfortably put to bed waned and waned.
And also, MLK was alive before there was any color photography or video. Don't Google MLK color photos and video and then start wondering why all the famous photos and videos of him are in very blurry, shitty resolution black and white, when there are so many of him in color. Video, too, of him in color. Not digitally colorized. There just was a lot of color photography and video at the time. So, I think that's interesting.
So gradually, I didn't even notice.
If I'm black, I know where to go. What do you mean I know where to go? I'm saying exactly every single one of us.
I look vegan. I look black pudding. Bring on the full fucking
I have drawn amazing.
Dude, British hogs are so similar to the American ones. I really want to make a video where I find, like, a British chud, like the chuddiest Britbonger, like that lady, and get them to meet, like, a chuddy right-wing American conservative, and I want to have them both take an IQ test. And I want to see how they score against each other. That's what I want to do. Oh, man. Unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Inspiration from the MAGA movement.
America was at its peak when we halted immigration for 40 years and we dropped our foreign-born percentage to its lowest level ever. We should be unafraid to do that. We should not put up with all these different pockets of culture. You assimilate towards the American culture. One culture, Americanism. We have one culture.
The American Democrat Party hates this country. They want to see it collapse. They love it when America becomes less white. We've ramped up deportation.
Man, Kirk was doing politics the right way, really working to heal the divide between the crazily divided political sides in this country. You know, it's so sad they took Charlie Kirk away for just being such a reasonable guy, always taking the middle ground.
Numbers. I think part of that success comes from people like Charlie applying pressure.
The Great Replacement strategy, which is well underway every single day on our southern border, is a strategy to replace white rural America with something different. They want to go after you.
And so much of our success over the last 7 months is due to his efforts.
You believe in God, country, family, faith, and freedom. And they won't stop until you and your children and your children's children are eliminated. Buy guns, everybody. Buy guns.
Charlie Kirk was not a healthcare CEO.
True, buy
he
guns.
was not a
I agree
powerful
with that
politician.
one.
He was just a fucking guy.
Charlie Kirk was...
Yes! Oh! Yeah, for those that don't know, Sean has really dropped the mask. I don't think anybody on the left really contests anymore whether or not Shu is very much a conservative. I think most people shouldn't be surprised. Like, the father of her child is a white nationalist type, so, you know, at that point, you're so committed, there's no getting off that train.
Was just a normal guy. I don't know if anyone else felt a shift in reality when Charlie Kirk was killed.
Only men have penises.
It's a woman's penis.
The left can't win. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Remember, I'll always be with you.
My friends, for Charlie, we must remember that he is a hero to the United States of America, and he is a martyr for the Christian faith. May our Heavenly Father give us the courage to live as Charlie lived. That is what we must do for Charlie. You ran a good race, my friend. I love you. We've got it from here. Thank you.
He was a guy who talked about politics. He was a guy who had conservative beliefs. Because despite what people in their little bubble believe, his core ideology and what he believed is the same shit like your conservative boomer uncle on Facebook posts.
The Great Replacement strategy, which is well underway, won't stop until you and your children and your children's children are eliminated.
So the very...
I mean, is she wrong, though? Like, she did... I mean, that is more or less what your conservative boomer uncle on Facebook right now believes. And I do think she is knowingly defending those positions. I don't think... If you ask Shu, do you think someone should be assaulted for believing that brown people should be kept out of America or kicked out in order to preserve a white majority? She would obviously tell you no, that violence would never be justified towards even the most crazy of Nazis. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely knows what she's saying here.
The first thing I saw on my feed on hearing about his shooting was this clip of Charlie Kirk's daughter running up to surprise him after, I think, a segment on Fox and Friends. At that time, it hadn't been confirmed that he'd been killed, and my instinctive reaction as a new parent was empathy. Like, I was literally holding my own newborn in my arms as I watched the clip, and it reminded me of our shared humanity, whether or not I was well aware that Kirk's views completely opposed my own. Now, I make that clarification because, in all practical reality, I do think Charlie Kirk and his platform got people killed. Without exaggeration, Kirk explicitly pushed a narrative of a vast conspiracy by Democrats and the left to flood the country with immigrants to erase the white Christian population. That the white population needed guns because you believe in God, country, family, faith, and freedom, and they won't stop until you and your children and your children's children are eliminated. It's not a great replacement theory, it's a great replacement reality. You are being replaced by design. At a time.
And this is, I think, part of their very clever scheme. When they talk about a guy who was so known for pushing accelerationist, not in like the lefty sense, but sort of accelerating political division in this country, calling for violence and more or less tongue-in-cheek calling for the left to be exterminated, minorities to be exterminated, being openly a very far-right figure, and then a tragedy happens to him, they're able to sweep for his past statements, and you're forced into a situation where if you want to call him out and hold him accountable still for all the shit he's said and done in the past and not let them, rewrite his history, it comes off as though you are defending the violence against him. Because when you call out that he was in fact in favor of hurting people, he was full of hate, you don't sound too different from Tyler Robinson, the guy who shot him. And that is very much their intention. They want to force the left into a situation where our inevitable response is something reminiscent of what the shooter said as his reason for killing the guy, which is that he's hateful, and he was encouraging violence against the left and minorities.
Of mass unlawful detention and abuse of immigrant families by ICE, often with no legal justification whatsoever, Kirk insisted that America must be unafraid to purge its immigrant population to bring the country back to its peak, that these were cockroaches, and that this is what we voted for. We want our country back. The spiritual battle is coming to the West, and the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. The American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. These two threats are combining forces to come after us.
Not having to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. You guys know the Muslim call to prayer is just a bell, right? It's literally just like a bell to indicate it's time to pray. They do that in tons of cities with bell towers that aren't associated with any religion. It's so bizarre. How does it bother you for there to be a 5-second tone for Muslim people to worship? It's not the end of the world. It's a resource issue, not a cultural issue. Well, for these people, I think a lot of these popular right-wingers are preying on simple fear, right? A lot of these young people don't have any experience talking to or meeting anyone from a culture outside of their own. So they're really, really vulnerable to, stereotypes and conspiracies about these groups, and this is one of them.
And it's time that the church rises up and stands against it. Charlie Kirk loudly proclaimed that abortion was not just murder and not just comparable to a Holocaust, but 8 times worse than the Holocaust.
That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
Abortion. So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely I am. In fact, it's worse. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust.
But before
this is a real claim they've been pushing hard, by the way. Recently, I've seen that right-wingers have been claiming 1/3 of Gen Z was murdered by abortion. This is their new way of, engaging with that topic, because they've realized it's not the best look to do the whole your body, our choice forever thing. And let's be very clear. There is absolutely no scenario where these people actually care about children, okay? They don't care. They don't. These are the people who gloated when Trump won. Let's not forget election night. They all gloated and said, your body, my choice forever. Because that was exactly what it was about for them. Controlling women's bodies. And once they won, they celebrated that was the case openly, because they felt there was no more, like, what's the point in hiding it anymore? That was their goal. Trump won. They don't need to hide it or play dumb anymore. Now they're back to playing dumb. Let's not fall for it. We all remember what they said when they thought there was no reason to play dumb anymore and they could let the mask slip. They don't actually care about these children. But nonetheless, you're going to see a lot of memes that are like, aborted GF. Have you seen the memes about the aborted GF? Have you guys seen that? Like, it's a bunch of quotes that the supposedly perfect girlfriend of the Anon that made the meme would have had it not been for abortion killing her. And it's just like the most perfect trad wife, I guess, who just wants to, wait on him hand and foot. Oh god, not that meme? Yep, that meme. Have you guys not seen it? It's terrible. I'm not going to show it just because I don't want to curse you all.
And after the brutal assassination of Democrat politician Melissa Hortman and her family at their home only 3 months before his own killing at the hands of a radicalized anti-abortion extremist. On transgender people, Charlie Kirk made the same Nazi comparisons by saying doctors that perform gender-affirming treatment should be put through Nuremberg-style trials.
A Nuremberg-style trial for every gender-affirming clinic doctor. We need it immediately.
Called trans people themselves an abomination to God.
A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. You hear that, Thomas? You're an abomination to God.
And even at the moment of his death had been pushing a full story that they were responsible for the rise in mass shootings.
So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
At every opportunity, Charlie Kirk found ways to frame
literally seconds before he got a 30-06 to the throat,
white Christian Americans as being in an actual militarized conflict with the left and immigrants and other minorities at a time when the US government was engaging in militarized occupation of the country with exactly those justifications.
I think we should flood the zone. It's already working in Washington, D.C.
Oh, there it is. Flood the zone. There is definitely, like, handlers for all these people. All of these people definitely have handlers. Because you know where that flood the zone term comes from? Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was the guy who said their method, their strategy, the Trump campaign strategy was to flood the zone with so much bullshit that the mainstream media and the opposition party couldn't focus on all of it, only one thing at a time. And he's literally using Bannon's word for word phrasing. The flood the zone thing. That's gotta be evidence that there's some weird shady shit with all these right-wing. They're definitely just getting paid by Russia, and they're probably getting mandatory, like, Russia propaganda meetings too.
It's a next perfect test case. You bring in the tanks, you fly the drones, you send in the Marines. It worked in DC, it will work in Chicago.
We don't need a white paper. We need Marines. We need bombs in Fort O, hard business numbers, criminal in cages, and illegals getting tackled in the streets.
We're going to go city by city, block by block. It's time for a federal takeover of Chicago. We've been calling for this for quite some time. I think we're getting close.
Now it's time for us to scale it to all of America's greatest cities. We have a control case of the week. Let's spread it out to a month, and then let's turn America's cities into the safest in the Western Hemisphere.
And he did that from the position of being a co-founder of a massive political propaganda machine extremely closely aligned and connected with the president carrying out these actions.
And I think that made him such an effective operator. And I would talk to Charlie and say, Charlie, well, look, here are the reasons why. And as you've seen, Tucker, we've ramped up deportation numbers. But I think part of that success comes from people like Charlie applying pressure.
He was a critical part of getting Donald Trump elected as president, getting me elected as vice president. And so much of our success over the last 7 months is due to his efforts.
It would actually be a struggle.
I really cannot emphasize enough how much building a massive online presence of massive figures that can rival the size and relevance of Charlie Kirk is important. I know I've got, like, it's obvious why I'd say this, but it really is true. The president and vice president credit YouTubers as the ones that got them into power. Right-wing grift YouTubers. We could have that same power. We could. Also, holy shit, Melania is, like, turning into the Hat Man. I'm not the only... Oh, is that Erica Kirk? Oh, yeah, wait, that would have to be Erica. No, I think that's Melania. That's Melania in the hat, right? Turning into Hat Man? I think I'm right. That looks like Melania right there.
Who find a political pundit whose activities and advocacy are more closely tied to
right
America's rapid descent into martial law and violent division. He was not just a guy like your uncle, Shoe Head.
I made an egg look like his face. It is safe to say I was no fan. You don't get it, do you? We are all Charlie Kirk. Oh, if you want to stop being called a fascist, you should stop.
I would not put it past Shoe. Because she knows the far right, like, gooners in her audience are so unhinged that she would, in her argument, meant to make herself seem like a centrist. Like, I've made fun of Charlie Kirk in the past. She would use drawing his face on an egg because the people who she's pandering to are the raw egg nationalist crowd who would immediately see the egg imagery in her video, and she knows they would take that interpretation that she's like signaling to them. So I don't know.
Not being a fascist. Yeah, that's great. Except you've called everyone and their mother a fascist and a Nazi for the past like 15 years.
That's how we get Auschwitz. 8 times worse than the Holocaust. A Nuremberg-style trial. I used to say that, hey, if you as a gay person would go to Gaza, they'd throw you off of tall buildings, right? Now they don't have any tall buildings left, so I don't... Is that too soon? I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't kill Jews, stupid Muslims.
All I know is it is clear how they reacted to this is how they would react to me, my family, my friends, you, your family, your friends. But if they would celebrate an exact clone of you that wasn't you,
stupid Muslims,
that had all the same opinions,
you're an abomination to God.
Or some of the opinions.
Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Karen emailed us. She said, Charlie, it's time for the Karen name calling to stop. I cringe when someone asks me for my name. That's sad. You did nothing wrong. It's like a mass discrimination. Could you imagine if we did that? They are mislabeling an entire racial group for something they did not do to try to create a prejudice. Could you imagine?
The smile, the smirk. He couldn't stop himself from smirking when he was projecting what the right does, what his whole career is onto the left. He couldn't stop from going, they're pushing ideas about single individuals. Of a large group of people. And they're trying to use those individual examples to make everybody think white people are bad. Who would ever do that? That's them, right? That's him right now. Like, actively laughing as he claims the left is doing exactly what he does for a living. He can't even stop himself from having the shit-eating grin. Man, all I'm saying is karma might exist. Karma might be real. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's a good freaking point to wrap this video up on. If you enjoyed it, then consider leaving a like and a comment and a hype. Like I said, it really does help a lot. I appreciate it. Comment down below. Rip Kirk. Smile. If you want, the little smiley face next to it. If you want to let me know you watched this far in the video, it also helps a lot and is totally free. With that said, thank you for watching, and have a good one.